the transformation, right? It's inevitable. So evaluation is one thing that is very imperative. We all know that. And in this environment that we have, the customer focus, their demand, their expectation are keep changing. Right? And to address these changes, we have to keep investing in our processes, in our tools. And there is another side that sustainability is putting another pressure and asking us to keep evolving. So all these things are addressed easily by going digital and investing in digital transformation initiatives. So that is one of the, the important aspect that Vazel is trying to address through their solutions, their products. And we are in passenger side and cargo side, having 1.5 decade kind of an experience where we have a strong team of 400 people and have a presence in 5 airports in India as of now. And that is where we can put value to all our industry players, and we are very excited to be here and discuss all the opportunities as you can give it to us. So thank you. So I'll pass on to Jasraj now. Jasraj, please.
Thank you. So, I'm part of the air cargo world, and as we've all realized the value of air cargo, specifically as a population, as a global consumer, in the COVID era, how it came to rescue for multiple reasons. There are a couple of vectors which are changing the entire landscape of the global trade. I will try to put together some of them. The first one here is that we are seeing marketplaces as the most efficient way of making a trade. But e-marketplaces are the epitome of such efficiency. But it also changes the consumer behavior. It also gives consumer a higher expectation of choice and also of a service transparency. In the business of air cargo, which is a time-sensitive transportation process, digitization is critical because somewhere at the other end, there is a reason to do air cargo. And what we've realized over our 12 years of digitizing airlines, cargo businesses, that the digitization level or penetration is still stuck with the top 10% of the airlines globally. These are global brands that you travel in. But nobody understands that there are about 900 airlines in the world, and they are all part of the air cargo ecosystem. Why this is more important for a cohesion ecosystem, air cargo ecosystem? Because e-commerce, the second vector of change, is making things come to your house. The supply chains are moving to demand chains. You look at a product, you select it, you pay it, and now it starts moving out. And hence the relevance and a higher importance of air cargo for the future. And in the national logistics ecosystem, air cargo will play a larger role for two reasons. And when I say air cargo, I also mean drone technology, because it's also transportation by air. So what will happen with the 5G as another vector coming in, with the digitization of the Indian rupee? We are looking at complete inventory supply chains, and hence the airport as an infrastructure will have to be developed for moving air cargo faster. The dwell times and domestic transportation or hold periods of cargo will have to be brought down. Let me add another dimension to this for the eminent audience here, that the whole business of moving a product also comes with the expectation of transparency. And that is because it changes the inventory costs. So once you have 5G, once you have further penetration of smartphones. Already we have a very high penetration of smartphones. You are already seeing how the information flow from channels like YouTube is changing the entire knowledge levels of our population. And, and hence, these vectors of transformation, air cargo is going to play an extremely important role, because today we probably stock medicines in multiple distribution centers in the government chain of providing medicine, but tomorrow you might be doing it just in time for and direct to a village through a drone. So contextually, having a national logistics ecosystem, having a connected air cargo ecosystem, digitally connected not only with the intermediary service provider, the forwarder, but also to the consumer, is a natural corollary of activities that is going to happen in the next few years. And lastly, I will just leave one very important thought. In 2021, 2 billion e-commerce packages were handled. It is expected to be double that volume by 2025. If you don't digitize, you don't have the infrastructure even to process it. Your supply chain costs or demand chain costs are going to go up. And hence, it's the importance between the connect of a digitized ecosystem and infrastructure, which can contribute significantly to the growth of GDP of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasrajji. So I will reserve the time for the questions at the end of the event. And thank you for your insight on these air cargo requirements, how it has to be transformed, and the required infrastructure at airports. So a few questions, maybe at later we can take up some questions. So now I will request Mr. Mark to present his.
Thank you, sir.
You have a presentation? No?
Yeah, I got a presentation, so I don't know if you can. Thank you so much. So a few words about the amount of data that are necessary to protect and safeguard, I would say, an airport. So this is an evidence. We are very close to any city nowadays, and due to the increased demand of developing new airports, especially in India, having a good connection between these airports is fundamental. But running an airport is not that easy. You all know that, you're from the airport domain. So our point today is just to illustrate how digitalization, as the other panelists mentioned, could help us in order to protect the development and the impact, the positive impact of an airport over its territory. Okay, first of all, any airport, and I will illustrate it with some example, European example and worldwide example, are within an environment. You don't decide now how this environment is constituted of. You may have some very specific environment. This is an example in Switzerland, Geneva Airport, where the city is there and you've got elevated terrain on the other side. Mentioning elevated terrain, nothing to see what we can find in India for sure, but at least this is very constrained for the airport development. Other example here, where we are in France, Nice Airport, where you have a very constrained city, high demand place. This is a very nice place to live. Rich people going there, tourism, a lot of tourism, and people who want to have their flat or houses very close to the city. And here, once again, you need to get this connection between the airport and the city. Another example, Canada, Montreal. You can see this is more and more complex. Possibilities for evolution of the airport are quite very limited. Real estate, very limited. And this is how we have to tackle and to find out solutions for development or new trajectories. As you know, International Civil Aviation Organization has edicted some rules. Those rules are what we call the protection surfaces or obstacle surfaces. So those are defined, very complex surfaces. So To do it by, I would say, human being, taking a lot of time. So when you have complex airport to study, with complex relief to study, it's really a lot of effort. So to ease that kind of effort, what you can see is that in the direct, I would say, axis of the runway, this is fundamental to preserve this part of the airport. The surrounding airport, the blue color of the picture, you can do more things. But at least you have to integrate the conditions done by the regulations. What we call aeronautical study analysis, and this is the critical point. In India, this is under the tutelage of Airport Authority of India, so very important study to couple with the high demand of the real estate around the airport. You have to take a lot of things. The procedure, instrument flight procedures, the communication network service systems, and the obstacle limitation surfaces. All this has to be taken into account. This is a lot of studies, a lot of constraints, and without, I would say, digitalization today, would be a mess to be dealt with. So what we can do and what we can propose is that kind of charts, where we merge all the different constraints, having a clear vision, and especially to preserve this vision for the future development of the airport. This is fundamental, especially when you have the delegation of an airport within a real estate, surfaces where you want to build, for instance, high hotel, skyscrapers, building and all that stuff. Be sure before building all that to have this study completed. Because all the new buildings will interfere, at least with the CNS, and for sure with the altitude and height protection of the different surfaces. Not taking into account could nearly lead to have the airport stopped. This would be terrible. So for all of us, thanks to digitalization, having all this complex data, ingestion of data, and this is not, I would say, one-shot try. You have to do it regularly, because every day new obstacles. For instance, when you are building skyscrapers buildings, you've got the crane also, which is an obstacle. So all that stuff should be taken into account thanks to the business rules and the modelization. And we can provide, I would say, the different views and layers. So this is another example where you find, I would say, in the green area, the possibility to preserve, and the very, I would say, possibilities to get higher construction in the other areas. So thanks to that kind of digitalization, we can help to preserve the future development of an airport. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. A very short and crisp presentation. So I have a few questions. Of course, I will reach out to you later. So now I request Mr. Anuj to present his paper.
I'm sorry guys, there's a lot on the plate in terms of the presentation. I'll try to shorten it down in terms of the timeline that I have got. Okay, so I think in the morning we've got a lot of people who are watching for digitalization and digital transformation, and which is very valid. But the only way to bring about success in digital transformation is through creating value. Where most of the organizations falter is looking at technological mindset and implementing solutions more probably from a technological side of it. So from our perspective, when we say digital by design, what we really mean is that value can only be delivered if products, processes, and people are factoring in business outcomes, keeping technology and design at the core. What do we mean by that? We're going to probably figure out in the next couple of slides. Okay, so we know the airports today are, I wouldn't say the airports, aviation industry is reeling under pressure in terms of profitability, in terms of capacity, and also to a large extent in terms of unpredictability and volatility in the market as far as disruptions are concerned there. But what we are effectively also seeing is the fact that it's not that everyone is bleeding into this industry as such. if you see the gap between the industry, you would say, uh, leaders and the followers, within this aviation industry is probably the largest. And why are we saying this? Is because digitalization is one of the prime aspects around why digital leaders have really taken it up and been able to create value out of it. As per the Accenture study, which was done along with World Economic Forum, uh, digitalization is at the core of building up new business models and disruptive business models as well. Which means that we are actively looking around $300 billion in terms of value creation from industry players itself. What we're also seeing is that traditional players can actually look at value migration from that perspective if you're looking at digitalization as a core aspect of driving towards the winner. So what we see, I'm from a consulting background and I take my take in terms of how the industry is evolving, not just purely from an aviation perspective, but also across industries. So what we're seeing across is the evolution of an algorithmic enterprise where data and intelligence becomes a very, very focal and an integral part of the organization. Operations are going to be much more predictive in nature, which will drive adaptive operations there. We're also seeing the convergence of the physical with the digital altogether, which is why it is becoming all the more immersive in terms of experiences which are coming across. And because data and intelligence happens to be an important element of the entire enterprise, pattern-driven decision making will become an important element of the overall enterprise that we're talking about. So as we move ahead in terms of this, we just want to understand how the airports are faring in terms of their roadmap around digitalization. We feel in terms of the understanding that we've got, around 53, in fact 80 to 85% of airports have gone and embarked on this journey towards digitalization with technologies like IoT, cybersecurity, and biometrics being the more core elements of technology implementation that are coming through along with it. But at the end of it, when we look at designing or digitalization journey, it's important to look at the 5Q framework that we've developed from CAPA. The value quotient is the most prime quotient in terms of how an organization is able to create partnerships along with various stakeholders to be creating new additional value. And not only just value creation, but also sustaining that value across it. And maybe I'll just give you some examples of how airports are today looking at not just being looked at purely from a transit hub kind of a perspective, but purely as an entertainment hub like the ones that we're seeing in Changi Airport. It's a collaboration of partnerships with airport retail, with airport city, and various infrastructure elements which are imbibed into it to drive additional value for the customers there. The agility quotient is primarily focused on how can we bring about increase or decrease in time to market as such for introduction of new products or services coming into the perspective there. So the more agile you are as an organization, the better it becomes for you to respond to various unseen events which keep on happening because of the unpredictable environments that we're operating into. I'm sorry, the other two or three elements are more focused towards the customer element, which we're going to talk about. The adaptability quotient is more about how can we build an infrastructure which is adaptable. So making a front end agile with its flexibility and adaptability, but still keeping the back end to be much more stable as it is. So the element of connection between the two, back end and the front end, becomes a very critical aspect of the digital transformation exercise that we're going to look at. And then finally, the disruptive quotient is how can you enable a disruptive culture within the organization, as also you think about the market conditions that is interrupting on the So I'll not focus too much into it, but just a couple of thoughts into it. As we see the airports evolving, they're an important cog in the wheel as far as driving the overall aviation ecosystem as such. But if you look at the other elements in terms of the revenue per passenger, you're seeing more and more non-aero revenues taking a major play in terms of their overall revenue contribution there. What we're also seeing is the cost aspect also needs to be looked at from an expense perspective, because a large part of it is driven through personnel costs, which is basically your people cost. With more and more technology coming in, the cost in these elements will subside over a period of time. And from a sustainability perspective, we certainly need to look at how do we improve the return on invested capital there. I know airports are very profitable in this case, but what we really need to look at, the potential is massive in terms of being able to create more value for your customers there as well. So in terms of the evolution of the airports, what we can probably see is as and when the airports have moved on to the new era, we are seeing more and more airports being looked at from a different perspective. They're no more like a transit hub, as I said. They're going to be looking at branding, they're going to be looking at partnerships, they're going to be looking at how technology and innovation is going to drive better productivities and also enhance invested capital there. So I'll just skip a few slides to ensure that we're able to bring to the table some of the key elements that this forum is going to be looking at. I'm sorry, I'll just skip a few slides here. Yeah, so the thing which I was really talking about is how can you enable safety and navigation services within airports through technologies. And some of the things that is coming through along with us is the fact that you've already seen Bangalore Airport implement robots to be able to guide passengers towards their destinations in terms of gates. And there are a lot of other elements around biometrics which make this process a lot more seamless in nature as well. So we are seeing even companies like or airlines like British Airways completely making their process biometrics enabled, which is driving the next set of revolution as far as digitalization is concerned. We can talk a lot more on this, but a couple of thoughts around digital twins, which are probably coming up very massively in terms of airports. So you're seeing Londrina Airport in Brazil, which is completely gone digital in the sense that you're able to monitor each and every element around the operations from a perspective of data which is coming through along with it. And on a real-time basis, you can make decisions and create much more informed decisions there. I think I'll probably skip most of the elements because considering the small, short time that I have, but we can probably discuss a lot more in terms of our discussions when we are coming along with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anuj. Very highly analytical approach towards changing the aviation sector. It is true that the aviation sector cannot be sustained with this present form. Certainly, digital transformation is essential. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's a big challenge. Certainly, we will look into that. Speaker is Abhishek Ghosh. So it is your time, please.
Things are getting a little beaty down there, so can you still hear me? Okay. All right, thank you so much. It was great to hear all the esteemed panelists before me. I think the topic that I'm going to talk about is a great segue from where Anuj left. It was great to hear all the panelists talk about some of the common themes that came across. And when I talk about redefining passenger experiences, I'll take on from where Anuj stopped. So, okay. So when I say redefining passenger experiences, I will say that why it is different from what we spoke about so far. We spoke about how digital interventions are helping redefine how we want to look at the passenger flows at the airports. Anuj spoke about biometrics. He spoke about how we are having better flows because we are able to connect with one ID from ITA standards. DigiYatra is another example. In fact, I would encourage you all to use the facility at the Delhi airport when you transit out, because the DigiYatra implemented there at the airport for Delhi and Hyderabad is done by Vessel. So I would welcome you to experience that. Okay? Having moved from the passenger experiences, what we talk about in the digital era, I wanted to focus more about how the passenger experiences can be redefined in the cognitive era. When we talk about how we are transiting from digital to cognitive, how we are moving from using more and more data that can be used for redefining the experiences. How can the airports also be on the same journey and benefit from the technology that is available to us? Thank you. Okay, I'll make it a very simple conversation point to start with. So, when we say that there is a passenger who has to travel, so when does the journey really start? Does it really start when we book a ticket? Does it start when we start thinking about that we have to get to the airport? Or does it really start when we are at the airport? So, I think many of us would realize that it really starts to hit us when we are about to leave for the airport. The anxieties at that time probably are at peak because there are uncertainties involved. Will I be there on time? Will I be able to make it to the flight? Will the immigration process work? Will my IDs work? There's so many connections and points, right? So how can airports start to connect with the passengers right at the time when they're about to leave for the airport? Do we really need to focus on how we provide the best curb to gate experience, or can we really look at city to curb to gate experience? Can we really start connecting with passengers when they start their journey towards the flight? So that's the topic that I'll talk about. And before I talk about future, I'll do a little bit of past. Incidentally, we just completed 100 years of civil aviation last year, and how the airports have evolved. While it started was a simple transit point. You would depart to arrive, you would arrive to depart, and from there, over the last few years, and mostly more rapidly over the last 15, 20 years, what we have seen is the airports have actually transited into a more complex system. I think the panelists before me spoke about how complex it is now to talk about the airport as an ecosystem, which is not just about services, about the partners, about the different stakeholders at the airport. There's so many connected devices, there's so many complex systems underlying an airport now that it has almost started to resemble a marketplace. We as airport providers are now looking at how we can help people, stakeholders, things connect better. So provide better services, not just to passengers, but also to the different stakeholders that operate from the airport. And if I take it further from here, what do we see that the airports are now struggling for? These airports have started to resemble mini cities, right? We are not just focused about how we are handling our daily operations, but how we are focused on making sure that the entire infrastructure comes together, not just to be efficient, not just to be monetized, but also continue to offer the best experience they can. So how is the airport prepared to handle natural calamities? How secure is the airport? How is my energy, waste, water being conserved on a daily basis? What am I doing about the parking that is available? What is being done about the traffic? What am I doing about the lighting? So all these elements coming together have started to make a very cognizant impact on how the airport operators are thinking about how the airports need to operate in future. So coming to challenges that the airports, have always had, and the aspirations continue to get bigger and bigger. The airports have always wanted to be optimized in services. They want to generate revenues. They want to make sure they're secure. Their reputation is at stake. At the same time, they have to stay sustainable. There's a large list of things that each airport carries to do. So how can we look at moving from just focusing on airport operations to look at seamless, connected experience which not just delivers to the goals of an airport, but also delivers to the earnings, experience, and the efficiencies that the airports look for. So welcome to what I want to talk about as smart airport cities. When I talk about smart airport cities, it is nothing but taking into account the airport functions and how they can be combined to the best of what a smart mini city offers, so that we are in better control of all the resources available to us, how we can optimize the resources available to us, and at the same time, able to offer a better experience to passengers. And so I tried to put it in a very simple way, and just bear with me for a busy slide. When we talk about airport operations, I would be preaching to the choir if I spoke about what all it takes for airport operation command and control center to operate. There are different systems at the airport that come together. Systems that not just offer the common use passenger processing systems, you have baggage handling, we have crew handling, we have ground operators, we have detailers, all the systems giving in data that is managed by the airport command and control centers. Nothing but data that actually helps us on a day-to-day basis to get through with the airport job of the day. Now on the right side, if you look at what typically a smart city, a mini city offers, are the systems that help in the infrastructure to be as responsive to meet the airport needs. We talk about how we can continuously look at integrating some of these solutions also. Because these solutions are also in a city scenario, if I were to draw the parallels, are typically managed by integrated command and control centers. And the city elements also are managed through data. So the airports of future are now looking at airport operation centers which combine the best of data that comes not just from the airport solutions, but also from the city solutions. Let me take a few examples as use cases. Okay? For example, if in an airport you're expecting 6 flat belly aircraft to land within 30 minutes. Okay? If you are an integrated APOC center, it can help you trigger that your washroom management has to be looked at on priority in the areas where the arrivals are going to happen. If your smart bins today are being emptied at 80%, at this particular hour, it would probably need to be emptied at 40%. That's the power of data. For example, if you have more departures than arrivals at a particular hour, where would you like to stack your trolleys at the airport? So that data, connecting your flights with your trolleys can also be another use case. If there is a flight that is arriving, say, from Japan, how would you like your wayfinding language to be depicted? Could it be English and Japanese? So there are different use cases one can think of when you have the data. We always have, all these years said data is the new oil. Right now, I think data is the new soil because that's where more ideas grow. So now when you have the data all combined from different systems, it's the power of imagination what you can do with it. I have some examples of how some of the world airports are looking at smart airport cities as part of their aspiration goals and agenda. First example is from this is from the airport, the Roma, and I've clearly, this is something that is available on the websites, you can browse through it, but they're clearly talking about how they want to focus not just on operations, but also how they want to make sure that they're looking at the city elements. Now, one of their goals is how they can reduce their waste management by 80% is what they've signed up as one of the goals. ADB Group is looking at one of the goals as how they can reduce their taxing time to 10% of what it is today. Another sustainability goal, but which has to very clearly work very closely with the airport operations. Brussels Airport is also looking at how they can look at capacity management and building in a very different way so that they are able to provide within the same capacity, the same services to the larger number of people. So there are two ways always to grow and expand the operations. One is to increase in size, the other is to optimize what you have. And more, everybody moving towards net zero, this is becoming a goal that most companies are trying to adopt. I won't read through this, but Anuj spoke about an airport in Israel that is adopting digital twin. This is an example from Vancouver. The Vancouver airport has adopted a digital twin which they are using in terms of real-time situational awareness for their capacity planning, workload planning, daily planning, forecasting, and also handling some of the natural calls that come in terms of disasters, etc. So the use cases are there for us, and it is for the airports to now look at how we can start to look at beyond just the airport systems to move to the next year. A busy slide, but I wanted to now bring it home as to why I'm talking about all this. At Vezel, we offer different services, solutions. As I said initially in my introduction, we are focused on what is the best-in-class technology that can solve some of the business solutions. I focused here on what we are doing in smart city consulting, but we'll be happy to host you at our booth in the Expo and talk more about other solutions that we have. A little bit of detail about us. Sagar spoke about this. We have been for a decade and a half servicing IT concessionaire for multiple airports. We manage the entire IT systems for Delhi, Hyderabad. Right now, we're in the process of commissioning for Goa. This includes not just the systems that would help in passenger flows, but also the entire ICT infrastructure. And we are continuously looking at innovating and providing with newer solutions that can help pave way to the better future. These are some of the offerings we have, so I will not get into details, but essentially what we do is we take projects right from consulting and we take it on to the delivery and execution and O&M. That's from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ekta. Good presentation. You have connected a lot of dots together to keep the passenger very happy. And at the same time, you are telling that data is the key for connecting the dots and make the airport operations very safe and efficient. So I open the floor for questions. You can ask the question pointing out to a particular speaker so that we can easily get you the clarifications or any doubts you have. Please.
Hi, I am Sillo Kumar, Chief Operating Officer from AA class. My question to my colleague Jayesh Raj. You were mentioning about the domestic air cargo handling. You know that domestic cargo handling is the undefined sector. When we compare international air cargo processing. And we are having only 40 to 45 minutes turnaround time in the passenger aircraft. The current free dwell time is 12 hours or 24 hours rather for the domestic sector. By digitalization, are we in a position to reduce that processing time in airport? That is the one question.
Absolutely. I'll tell you how. Now, if you look at the domestic air cargo transportation, a large part of the transportation, a very large part of it, is done through the narrow body flights, which basically means physical labor is required to take out the cargo and push the cargo in or load the cargo. Now, like every market, there is a pattern. There is a pattern on how the cargo is going to come, when the cargo is going to come, how much it's going to come. And I just want to kind of take your thought process to something completely different, and then you will immediately connect what I'm trying to say. Do you remember the weather system? The prediction is going to rain outside, but it doesn't rain, but it is cloudy. So once you digitize the whole process into an ecosystem, you now have the ability to be both predictive and prescriptive as an action. Now, interesting thing would mean that in the cargo, domestic cargo side, for example, you don't have business on Monday, right? Because Sunday the factories are closed, so Monday there's very little production, so the domestic cargo falls. What do we learn from this? We learn something very basic, that if we are able to analyze data, then we can match that requirement with the presence of people that may be required for both loading and unloading. So you're already doing some kind of activity by forecasting, by saying what's the incoming load, how many people I need, I have to turn around the aircraft within that specific time. But if you were able to get an advanced information between the passenger baggage, now I'll give you another analogy, or actually it's a real data. 80% of the e-commerce sales in China is predicted. Who's going to buy what? So if you had that visibility, you would be much better organized. Maybe not in 45 minutes, you can even turn around the aircraft much faster and with full loads. Thank you.
Hello. Can I just add on to that? I think that's an important thing that you referred to. In fact, there have been a lot of cases where you're seeing solutions around turnaround completely changing dynamics in terms of the way e-commerce today is done specifically. So there are solutions which are using computer vision, and you don't need really filthy technologies which are very expensive in terms of this. As simple as a CCTV camera, which is able to collect exactly whatever information the moment the aircraft comes in, chalks out, whatever activity is happening across, you're able to build that efficiencies built into the way the people are going to be interacting and servicing the aircraft altogether. Over a period of time, you start getting to know exactly what's the efficiency level that you require, what is the level of communication that you require across various entities within that particular turnaround time. Yeah, thank you.
If you'll allow me, I want to share one experience on something which I picked up during a personal experience. I was in Miami just a few days back, and I want you to visualize this as a part of a solution. And I'm sure Ms. Ekta Ghosh is going to love this, what I'm going to tell you, because it came as a personal experience. The incoming flight got diverted due to some medical emergency on board and was pushed to another city. And I was standing there, and the airline is trying to fix the whole solution. And I could see an easy solution, digitized solution, where there is somebody who tells the airline, and then the airline has to do a couple of things. It has to communicate to the waiting checked-in passengers. It has to rebook them. It has to find them a transport to go to a hotel because the flight is delayed by 24 hours. So somebody has to book a hotel for them by the airline. And all this is a realistic ecosystem, not very far away. And look at so she said one more thing very interesting: anxiety, stress. What causes this? Lack of information. The moment you have information, the anxiety goes away, the stress goes away. Humans by nature, by psychology, want to be aware, want to be feeling in control. The moment they feel lack of control, the anxiety and stress steps in. The customer experience falls. So that is the value of how a digitized ecosystem will not only bring as value innovation to the service providers, but also to the customer experience. Thank you.
Yeah, I concur with your clarifications. So one element which is missing for the efficient operations of airport is again the data from the current and forecast weather information. I think that is very critical from the ecosystem of airport operations, where the accuracy and the predictions of the operational efficiency can be improved. That is one element I think probably we will have to include when we are planning for the airport infrastructure and operational requirements. At present, I think I don't know whether this point has been taken into discussion in this event. In India especially, we need to focus on this advanced meteorological data for entire airport and airspace operations. That is my suggestion. I think the service providers may look into that. Any other questions?
Morning, sir. My name is Franklin. I just wanted to know that in this age, data is extremely important to everyone. I just wanted to know how you guys like save data. We are giving our name, we are giving a flight, our destination basically, but how that data is safe with you guys.
Hello. Thank you for the question. You're absolutely right. The data, when it is attributable to a person, it cannot be used in any form, and therefore there are data laws that protect it. We know the GDPR, we know that the Indian government is also coming up with the Data Protection Act. So how we use this data is not in the form that we receive it. It is anonymized and then used. For example, we look at trends, we look at how typical flights of a particular sector are, for example, reacting or using the various facilities at the airport in an anonymized way. So the data is always cleansed and then used. The personal data attributed is always, as per the protection laws, not used and removed from any of the systems. So when it comes to, for example, DigiYatra, where we are talking about when a person is identified through biometrics. In that process itself, the connection is with Aadhaar card, and no data is stored in any format except on your own mobile devices. So therefore, the data is protected in that case as well. You want to add?
I'll just add a couple of things. Today we are living in times where data is across. So to think that data is only private to you, today you can think for yourself how much is the data that you are providing to any site that you're visiting today. Forget about sites, mobile data that you have today, with the agreements that you already have with Google or whatever when you sign up, there's nothing called, you have privacy or private data already. Having said that, important things are the regulations are coming in. You have GDPR kind of requirements which organizations have to comply with, and also the fact that when you look at your private data is your name, your number, your location, those data are basically masked when a marketing organization or any other organization would typically want to use those kind of information. Having said that, that's still a big challenge. I wouldn't say there's a real solution out there that can prevent the data not being utilized. Having said that, it also means that we need to strive as an industry to be able to drive that regulation that can be implemented to be able to minimize that effort of data being used for various other purposes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ila. I represent Sage Research Consulting. We're a holistic risk management company. My question is that we see airports are moving towards being contactless now. Like we've seen in case of Changi Airport, the whole check-in through to the passenger process, everything is contactless. So how are we striking a balance of what are the challenges for digitization or making the systems more contactless? And where do you all kind of strike a balance between human intervention and digitization? And how do we foresee things for India specifically? I mean, are we looking at contactless systems completely, or how much of human intervention?
See, in India, I would say there is efforts being made. If you see Bangalore Airport, there are provisions where you're having a self-baggage drop, self-check-in kind of solutions. But if you look at it as a completely contactless kind of an experience, maybe not there at this point in time. But we see across airports across the world that trend of providing a seamless connect or seamless passenger experience coming into perspective. So if you talk about China as one of the examples, yes, they have started looking at biometrics. They're using multiple technologies in terms of self-baggage drop, self-checking kind of solutions, which is driving, and there are European airports as well, which are also driving around those fronts. British Airways today, I quoted one of the examples, has just implemented a biometric-based solution, which basically ensures that even during security check-ins, you can use your biometric data to be able to come into the overall process. But when you say that the moment you move completely contactless, it's not as contactless as you would probably think it is. I would say from a contactless kind of an experience, Amazon Go, if you've seen something like that, that is a real example of how would you be able to do a contactless shopping or a contactless experience there. Airports have still to go a long way in terms of driving that experience there at this point in time. There are cost dynamics, there are other elements that we need to think about it when we are looking at these kind of elements.
Yeah, hi. If I may, my name is Rishi. I'm the CEO of People Pivot. We are a manpower solution organization and we do need-based organization restructuring. The question I have for the panelists is, uh, if you compare the international standards to the Indian standards, how do you bring these staff or the teams up to speed with what is the technology prevalent globally? How do you bring them to the Indian context? Are the people actually willing to migrate to that level of technology? Are they willing to downsize their staff strengths? Because technology would include that as well, if I may. And what has the future in store for with respect to the upcoming airport also? Because you would need a lot of staff who will be working on a greenfield project, not a pre-existent DNA which is there. So what kind of velocity do you anticipate? What kind of manpower requirements do you anticipate? What kind of trainings do you require? What kind of interventions are required? Because the historical context of Indian aviation vis-a-vis the Zurich DNA, so to say, the Swiss DNA is completely different. How do you bring in efficiencies to the Indian people so that they work as expected, because the costs at which the contract has been taken is far less than, of course, the other bits. So the cost has to be a major factor, and manpower is the biggest factor in the cost itself. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry if I'm just answering all the questions there, sorry. But just a couple of things on this particular part. See, the rate of pace of technological change is far outpacing the rate of adoption. That is very clear. You know, even if you're a technologist, if I am a technologist, the rate of technology, the way that's developing, and the diverse way that they're developing. So you have AI, you have blockchain, you have Meta coming all together. Although they're kind of elements of each other, but to comprehend and to be able to understand that is very, very difficult. Having said that, an important element that organizations need to understand is the fact that if you're looking at moving from position A to position B, the change that is required has to be gradual. It cannot be drastic. Uh, Change management is today one of the most important elements of any digital transformation effort which is coming through along. What organizations are probably looking at is they're looking at a complete transformation program which imbibes the training, not only the training, but also getting in more people with a certain technological background to be able to lead technology initiatives. There are resistance for sure, and I cannot deny the fact. And most of the organizations which are able to handle the resistance effectively are being successful in digital transformations. The rest, if I just give you a figure, 80% of all digital transformation projects fail. And it's not just purely that technology was not implemented. Technology was implemented, but the organizational change management was not handled properly. So organizations which are able to handle that effectively will thrive. So elements around a gradual change management program, which brings not only the lower strata of the people who have not understood technology to be able to come up, as well as people coming from outside to be able to imbibe a certain amount of digital culture, is what we need to properly do.
I just wanna.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I just wanna add to Arun's input. If your question is contextual to an airport specifically, and you have to see that airport is a confluence of three or four independent entities. One is the government-related services, security, immigration, uh, other aspects. Then there is the private enterprise, the airport infrastructure owner. The third is the consumer, the customer, and the fourth is probably the airline and the international airline which comes there. Now, all of them have to be having a cohesive thought process to be able to get this thing. So it's not an easy task. So to go with what, that the change management is a gradual process, and it will happen as the customer experience gets enhanced. I'll give you one more example. Earlier, when you would go at the airport, your check-in at the outside the airport, the gate, the guy would physically look at your boarding card, your PAN, your Aadhaar card. Now they're scanning, so they know it's become contactless to that extent. If you go to a McDonald's restaurant, I don't know, I've not been one in India recently, but I went in US. Their entire experience on ordering a hamburger is becoming contactless. So you get inside a McDonald's restaurant today, and you just look at this large screen, you order your burger, and you get that burger coming straight out of the assembly line onto you. So if it's a complete private enterprise, change management is faster. But if it is a bridge between multiple entities with their digitization speeds and processes, it can be a little slower. But eventually, if you look at it, digitization will come to speed on contactless. It doesn't really make sense to contact anything because everything can be read through a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi or a digital signature. Right. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So, just to as a follow-up question, are the organizations willing to implement this on a principal basis, and what are the time horizons in case they are looking at it? Because my safe assumption, 24, 25, the next airport, since it's a greenfield project, will be easy to implement that because there is no baggage to it, there is no historical data, everything is new. But the DNA of the people will remain the same. The people implementing the process would remain from the same lineage they come from. So, are they getting themselves trained for the next technology being available, or they are still wondering about it as how to go about it?
Yeah, let me,
May I take it?
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add to what the other panelists also said. When you say that there is going to be a new airport which will have a new DNA, but as you rightly said, people are still the same who will transit through the airport. So when the airports are adopting, for example, we're talking about the same case example of contactless travel for passengers across touch points. The airports are right now looking at dual mechanisms because there is a generation, the millennials will adopt to it faster. So I was talking about the DigiYatra trials that we've been doing at Delhi since July. So we have had 4 or 5 months of experience of what persona of people typically would like to transit through the digital channels while the others would not be so savvy about sharing their data, right? So when we have certain facilities available which are much faster in processing, for example, what you spoke about, reduction in manpower when these systems come in, I don't really think that's going to happen because what is happening is because of the digital interventions, you get faster execution and transit time. So when people experience and see that people transiting through the digital channels get a faster speed to travel through. My personal experience was from gate to security clearance with biometrics done in maximum 5 minutes, right? So when there is a population that watches, that sees and adopts, as Anuj was saying, it doesn't come naturally to some. So airports, when they're looking at these multiple channels of new ways of transiting contactless, they're making sure there is room for the manual channels as well, which will reduce over a period of time. The idea is to encourage adoption by experiencing the benefits that will come through the digital channels.
Yeah, let me add to that. The technology is changing very fast, and this aviation industry is no exception to adopt the new technology, and the skill sets and the people's readiness to adapt the new technology. It is always an ongoing process. So once you have introduced some new technology, it will have to be looked into what is the requirement at the particular context and where it is essentially required. Because the airports are there for quite long time. We cannot simply throw away all the available systems and change over to a new system within a short period of time. So they will have to look into what is the actual requirement, how that can be implemented to improve the services, at the same time passenger satisfaction. So at present, India is going ahead with the new technology in every sphere of activities, not only the passenger activities at the airports, also the air traffic management technology, airspace management, everything. India is one of the leading nation in the new technological advancements. So, and those standards are at par with any international standards, no less than FAA or Eurocontrol standards. So technology adoption is not a big issue. How the data can be put together, because the data is available in various entities. Those data will have to be pooled together to make a comprehensive solution for making the air traffic management, airport operations, passenger satisfaction, cargo management, everything put together. So that is what this digital transformation is, though it is a slow process, but ultimately this will have to come to existence to improve the entire ecosystem of the aviation industry at this part of the world. And due to time shortage, I am going to conclude this session. So ultimately, the digital transformation is the key. As Mr. Anuj told, there is two elements which are vital. One is data and another is intelligence. So the intelligence, I hope you have mentioned about the artificial intelligence also, besides the human intelligence. So in the next forthcoming section, I think human intelligence, Mr. Chautyal will speak. So with this, I conclude this session. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, basically, this word, digital, it wouldn't be wrong in case if I say during the time of COVID, this word has become talk of the town. From 5-year-old to 85-year-old got to know what going digital means. So, and today, with the help of such eminent speakers, how digital transformation can ease out our experience of airport and our journey. We got to know today. Thank you so much, everybody, for throwing light to such important topic. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the dignitaries we have upon dais? Thank you, sir. Sir, सबने सवाल पूछ ले तो I thought, being a layman, I also had one question. So एक बार I was also flying and हमारी फ्लाइट को रोक दिया गया था quite for 15-30 minutes और हमें ऐसा बताया गया कि there is a air traffic. So there is a traffic in the sky जहाँ पे one by one बहुत सारी flights है which are waiting to take off. So क्या system होता है उसमें और how? So in case if you can throw a light on that, how it all works.
That is a big topic. Certainly, that is the complexity of the airspace management and air traffic management. So the main purpose is to make safe operations how the planes are brought down very efficiently. At the same time, allow the departures on ground to get into the air. So it is a four-dimensional aspect. You will have to look into that.
Okay.
So now the traffic is increasing. How the airspace can be organized in a better way to reduce the distance between two aeroplanes. At the same time, how the runway can accommodate more aeroplanes within that given period of time. So these two elements will have to be merged together. And as we brought out, the data, aeronautical data management is another key aspect which will have to be put together. We see that more and more aeroplanes can be brought down for landing at the quick succession. At the same time, you don't stop the departures in the interest of bringing more aeroplanes on ground. So both will have to go together.
Okay, it is too technical, but I'm sure me as a layman wouldn't understand in depth. But I think यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग हैं from the industry, and thank you sir, thank you so much, thank you everybody for sparing your valuable time and being with us during this initiative. I just request Dr. Jatinder ji, please come forward, and we will hand over the memento as a symbol of remembrance to all our dignitaries. थोड़ी जोरदार तालियां हो जाए सबके लिए. Thank you. Sanyal Desai also is requested to please join Jatinder ji. Ms. Ekta Ghosh from WAISL. Mr. Anuj Pandey from CAPA India. Mr. Mark, Chairman, CGX Aero. Our Chairperson, former member of Airport Authority of India, Mr. V. Somasundaram ji. Mr. Jasraj Singh ji, co-founder and director, Cargo Flash. Mr. Sagar Verma from WAISL. I request everybody, can we have a group photograph, please? Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Now, we are having next panel discussion of scaling aviation, shaping aviation future through skill development.
Yeah. First, I will request my friend Mr. Lawrence to introduce himself and make his presentation also. In fact, he is from TTK Skill Group, and TTK is our partner in National Aviation University also.
Hello. Very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Doctor, for giving me this opportunity to be here today. My name is Lawrence Pereira, and I am the head of quality assurance for the TT Group of companies. Uh, TT Group basically was founded in 1984, and it was founded by the grandson of Mr. TT King, that is TT Krishnamachari, a former finance minister of India in the independent India. And this company over the years have got into many verticals, from logistics to trucking and various other businesses like insurance and all that. Recently, we've now collaborated with RJU, Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University. We've also collaborated with Singapore University of Social Sciences and Singapore Logistics Association. So we are looking at, bringing in our rich experience of 38 years in the logistics vertical, and to see how we can bring this experience into learning for our industry. So that's what I would like to say in terms of my introduction here. I'll hand it over to Mr. Doctor.
Now we have Dr. Jatinder Singh from PhD Chamber of Commerce. I will request him to introduce himself and say something.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh Jokyal, and also my colleague, Mr. Lawrence. In fact, as yesterday also and morning also we had this discussion on the digital transformation and how tech is going to be a big enabler and the entire ecosystem of this aviation space, particularly when we talk about airports, we talk about the drones, when we talk about different type of services. Now the point is like at Chamber we have different verticals. One of the verticals being skill development community and new age businesses. Now what we have seen is that the digital assets and the human capital who are digitally savvy, it has become the new balance sheet with the organizations. So whatever skill development space we talk about, be it the technical skills or service oriented skills or soft skills, which are all required in the aviation sector. So what happens until unless there are digital footprints in each and every part of this skill development in terms of reskilling or upskilling, I think we will be way behind. So we give a lot of sort of a thrust that when we talk of reskilling, upskilling, or the RPL, which is recognition of the prior learning, how we can integrate the digital component in the entire skilling ecosystem, because I think that is going to be very great in the entire thing. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will show my presentations now. Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, I have two presentations. One small, some slides, because I can see the students here. So I would like to touch upon the journey of Indian aviation also, because it's a very interesting journey of Indian aviation. We started aviation in 1911 with the first flight by Henry Pickett from Naini to Allahabad. Actually, they are in the same city, but at that time it was, I think, 7 miles from Naini to Allahabad, and it was a mail flight. Mail means only the letters and all. That time, passengers were not allowed in the flight. So that was, the 100 years we celebrated in 2011, and a booklet if you can, I don't know whether it is available on internet or not, but otherwise a booklet was published by Ministry of Civil Aviation of India. You students can actually try to have a look at that booklet about the Indian aviation history. So after 2000 and after 1911, you know, the JRD Tata was the first pilot license holder of India in 1924. Then JRD Tata only started the first, the flight in 1924. Henry Piquet was a French pilot, but here, 1932 rather, the first flight between Bombay and Karachi was, piloted by JRD Tata. And then only they started Tata Airlines, probably in 1932 only, and the name was changed to Air India in 1946. In 1947, Government of India entered into an agreement with Tata Airlines to start Air India International, and 1948 was the first flight between Bombay and London, international flight by Air India. And after that, Government of India thought that Government of India should have a nationalized carrier. So in 1953, Air Corporation Act was enacted, which made Air India and Indian Airlines as government airlines, 1953. But then when the traffic increased and there were other air taxis in India, Government of India thought that now we should privatize the aviation. So in 1994, this Act of 1953, Air Corporation Act, was repealed, and then started the journey of private airlines into the scheduled airline business. Then you must have seen so many airlines in India, Modi Loop, East West Airlines. In fact, many airlines. Indian aviation is a graveyard of around 14 airlines, those who started the business and closed down also, because airline business is very, very, they operate at a very thin margin of 3 to 4%. And any increase in fuel prices will bring down the traffic. It happened in 2018 when the crude oil prices, they went, I think, more than $120 per barrel, and the ATF also increased with that. All the airlines that was October 2018 were in loss in that quarter, including the first time Indigo also. Indigo was in loss. They made a loss of 600 crores during that quarter. All the airlines were in loss, and later on, when the prices started coming down, some of them recovered, but Jet Airways did not recover, and they finally closed down in 2019. And that was the first major closure of an airline. Then the Indian aviation is, or for that matter, aviation is a very, very sensitive and volatile type of business. Fuel prices go up, any incident, the growth will come down. In 2007-8, US slowdown was there, traffic came down drastically, in fact, in negative. Then I think somewhere in 2012, when the Kingfisher closed down, the capacity came down because most of those aircraft were on lease. So they were lying, some of them are still lying at Indian airports. So the capacity came down, prices went up, fares went up, and traffic came down. 2008 again. Then same thing happened, I think, in 2001-2 when Surat plague was there. Traffic came down. And of course, you have seen COVID. But now we are recovering from the COVID, and we have passenger traffic, almost we are touching the pre-COVID level traffic when the traffic growth was around 15% in India. And slowly, I think you must have read that in October there were more than 1.2 lakh passengers in India, at around 10% above September traffic growth. So it is a very interesting journey of Indian aviation, and yes, then I think we have the next one, please. Here. Oh, sorry, yeah. I have already told you about the railway ticket. Construction of airports started in 1924 from Dum Dum. That was the first airport. Then Bamroli, Allahabad, which is a civil enclave now. Gilbert probably was the second airport in, I'm forgetting the name of that place. We still have a small strip there, and now they have, I think, Navy or Air Force establishment on that hill. I'm forgetting the name of that place in Mumbai. Yeah, the Air Corporation Act, it was repealed. Yeah, the real growth in Indian aviation started in 2003 with the introduction of low-cost carriers. Before that, actually the growth was 5 to 7% only, which is typical of this Asia-Pacific region, 5 to 7% at that time. And then in 2003, when the first LCC was introduced, low-cost carrier, by Air Deccan, Captain Gopinath. We should be thankful to Captain Gopinath, although they went into the loss, but they triggered the traffic growth in India. In fact, traffic growth was so much that Airport Authority of India was not really able to handle that at airports, and airports became railway stations, congested like railway stations. So immediately, in fact, I was at that time, I think, ED planning or ED operation executive director. I was heading planning and engineering at that time. So immediately it was decided that okay, 35 non-metro airports will be developed within 3 years, and we did that. In fact, the capacity was increased. There were traffic growth of around 30% at some of the airports, 40% also. But overall, it was 30%. I think 7, 8 or 8, 9, 2008-9. First time flyers were there, when the LCCs were introduced, even you could get the ticket for 900 rupees, 990 rupees, like that. And 38.6% domestic traffic growth was there in 2006-07, which saturated all the terminals. Then we started 35 non-metro airports, and there was two-pronged approach for development of the airports, because Airport Authority had a limited, budget with them. So reserves and surpluses at that time of Airport Authority of India was around 12,000 crores, but it was not sufficient to develop all the airports, including 2 metro airports of Delhi and Mumbai. So government decided that okay, Delhi, Mumbai will be privatized on PPP mode, and other airports will be developed by Airport Authority of India. And we were successful in doing that. That's how Delhi and Mumbai were privatized, and other airports were developed by Airport Authority of India. And that phase of growth we could handle after 3-4 years, nicely in fact. Second phase of growth due to low ATF prices, air turbine fuel. Then there was a growth of 15 to 70% in last, this slide was of 2020 actually, when COVID was not there. So till that time, 2020, the growth was like that. And of course, the COVID had, all the flights were at that time stopped, except cargo flights. In fact, cargo grew, especially the e-commerce cargo grew by 20% during COVID, because everybody was, ordering from home. And now, the Udan scheme was launched in 2016 to, most of the growth, in fact, 70 to 80% of the traffic was at top 20, 25 airports in India. Remote areas, hardly any traffic was there. That's why the Udan scheme was launched by Government of India. In fact, I was the first head of Udan scheme in Airport Authority of India at that time. And we could see, because of Udan, first thing is we could see the startup airlines. Many airlines have come up during Udan phases, and we could see more number of airports. Whichever airport was awarded a route under the Udan, that airport was developed by Government of India funds. 4,500 crore funds have been allocated for development of those airports. Now at that time, in 2016, we had 76 airports which were open for scheduled aircraft movements. And now the airports are around 104 or 105 which are licensed for scheduled aircraft movements. So that was the growth. I think I will not touch upon this because this was for my students at the university. Can we have the second slide, please? So basically, what are the jobs in aviation sector? There are direct jobs in aviation sector in India are around 2.5 lakhs. 2.5 lakhs direct jobs, but indirect jobs are much more. In fact, there is a study of International Civil Aviation Organization, which is a UN organization. They carried out a study in 2001-2002, which says that aviation has got a multiplier effect. If you spend $100 in aviation sector, there will be a demand for $350 around the aviation sector in that locality. If you develop an airport at one place, then you need, you will attract the investment of 3 times in that locality. Similarly, for manpower also, if you generate the job for 100 persons at any location of the aviation sector, that is airport or anything, MRO or something, then you are going to further generating the jobs in related sectors 6 times. Multiplier is 6 in case of aviation sector. That is how it is important to develop, the skill development in aviation sector. So, considering the requirement of skill development in India, Government of India thought that we must have an aviation university for the aviation sector, and in this Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University was established under an Act of Parliament in 2013. Yeah, it is a central university established in the Act of Parliament. The university is under the administrative control of Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. The headquarters of the university is at Fursatganj, Amethi, UP. It's a remote area where the Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy is there. And I am quite sure that none of you know about our university. And I must tell you that we started our first program in 2019 August, and our placement record is almost 93% at the moment. And because our focus is on industry exposure to the student, around 30% of the time period is devoted to the either on the job training or other exposure to the student. In fact, most of the, skill development centers in India, academies and all, we plan for passing an ordinance with the government approval where they can affiliate to this university, RG and AE. So this is the infrastructure in the university. We have boardroom, VC office, administrative office. We have two smart seminar halls with state-of-art, the blackboard, screens, online lectures, and all those things. It can be. Then we have 20 smart classrooms. 10 out of that, out of 20, 10 are smart classrooms, and library, faculty room, hostel block. We have 288 rooms, 8-story, where 576 students can be accommodated. Then we have senior faculty and junior faculty housing. These are actually, in fact, photographs of the infrastructure. This is our open air theater, reception, and other faculty rooms. This is open air theater, classroom, seminar hall. This is our computer lab. That is the university. This is the hostel block, and that is the faculty housing. This is the room. That is the common room for girls and boys. Gym, even girls' gym is there. And these are the academic programs. We started our first program, postgraduate diploma in airport operation, which is for the graduate of any stream. And we started in August 2019. It is a 18 months course, 12 months classes in RGNU will be held, and 6 months internship at IGI Airport and Hyderabad Airport. Tuition fee is 3.3 lakhs plus hostel charges. Hostel charges of 1.12 inclusive of everything. And 2 batches of program have completed with total 45, out of which 40 students are working with different aviation organizations: Indigo, Vistara, Qatar Air, Adani Airports, GMR Airports, FedEx, UDS, DB Shankar. Some of them are with some, academies, aviation academies also, and consultants. And the third batch of PGDO program commenced on 27th October 2021. Presently, they are doing their internship at IGI Airport. In fact, on 21st only it has started. And fourth batch of PGDO commenced in October with 24 students. This is the curriculum. Actually, we teach everything related to airside, terminal operations, city-side operations, commercial, finance, organizational behavior, everything. Our focus basically is we believe that airside operation is the key. So most of our students are working in airside because our focus was on airside only. Even including girls. 2 girls are working in airside at Guwahati Airport as airside executives. And then the second is undergraduate course, Bachelor of Management Studies in Aviation Services and Air Cargo. And this is, in fact, I forgot to tell you that our first program, Postgraduate Diploma in Airport Operation, is in collaboration with GMR Aviation Academy. That's how they do the internship at Delhi Airport and Hyderabad Airport. And the second program, undergraduate program, our collaborator is Logistic Sector Skill Council, which is under Ministry of Skill Development. This is a 3 years program with 2 years classroom and 1 year paid internship with the industry. In fact, our first batch of 2020 BMS has gone for internship now, apprenticeship now, and they are working with these companies, and they are getting internship stipend of around 8,000. Some of them are getting 15,000, and Mumbai Kale Concept Logistics is giving them 18,000 also. So third year you start getting experience as well as the money. And in fact, one of them has approached for placement of our senior batch, that is PGDO also, but we told them that they will be available only in May. The second batch of BMS classes commenced in 2021 with 25 students, and third batch is presently studying at the university with 48 students. This is the curriculum. Actually, this curriculum is basically for aviation services as well as logistics sector also. So, in fact, the logistics sector, if you talk about the logistics sector, it's much bigger than the aviation sector, because here air cargo as well as shipping and the surface transport also is included. Then we have a certificate course of 6 months in collaboration with again GMR Aviation Academy. 6 months certificate course for basic firefighters. So and the requirement here is 10 plus 2. For BMS also it was 10 plus 2. And here also our 8th batch, 7th and 8th batch are now studying at the university, and the placement rate is almost 100% here. In fact, recently I have received a demand from Adani Airport for 100 students, but we don't have 100. We have only 60 students at the moment studying there. So it's a very good course actually for if you want to the job immediately. So within 6 months you come out and these are actually future programs. We have an MOU with Covenants Limited for BSc aircraft maintenance. Is anybody there from AME school? No. So we are going to have a BSc aircraft maintenance in collaboration with Covenants Limited. Engineering faculty will be provided by them. They will use our infrastructure. They will also use the hangars and labs of IGRUA, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy. The second program is with TTK group of Chennai, and TTK in turn have one MOU with Singapore University of Social Sciences and one logistics sector academy of Singapore. These are the photographs. The Singapore team along with the embassy officers from Singapore. They visited our university. Yeah, and we have a system of aviation chopal. We invite industry experts there, and they interact with our students. Apart from the online lectures we have organized earlier with Airport Authority and all. Some of the press releases, and the first lady firefighter of IGI Airport had passed out from Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University, and she is a local. She is from Raebareli only. And these are we in fact utilize all opportunities to celebrate the diversity of India. We celebrate all the festivals. And I must tell you that around 30 to 35% of our students are from Kerala, and that's why we celebrate Onam every year in a big way. It is basically the initiative is from the students only. This is the BFFC training, and we encourage our students whenever they are on semester break. So we allow them to visit the nearest airport for short term, 5 days, 3 days, 7 days, if they have time. And we write to the airport in charges of those airports. So this was Lucknow is the nearest airport, although we have an airport at Fursatganj also. From our classrooms, students can see the landing and takeoff of these flying aircraft. This is Lucknow airport. And this is a short term, Calicut Airport, 4 of our students visited, Chennai Airport, then Jaipur Airport, Delhi Airport, Madurai Airport. This is Lucknow short term internship at Lucknow. Mr. Hota, my friend from Lucknow, can be seen there. He was the airport in charge there. And this is our annual sports cum cultural festival called Udan. So these are the photographs of Udan. Captain Gopinath House was the winner Udan 2022. And this is the Onam festival in traditional dress of Kerala. Yeah. We had around 20 students from Telugu speaking, Andhra or Telangana. So they requested us that we want to celebrate the Sankranti. So that was done. This is the Sankranti festival. And this is Christmas. Thank you very much. And now we will take questions after
We'll
the
take
presentation
questions.
by my
Yeah,
colleague.
request Mr. Lawrence for his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. I think Dr. Chokyal has covered maximum in terms of what the plans are, what they've implemented in the university. So when it comes to TT Group and what's our association with RJNEU, basically we are starting a new vertical, as I said before, is TT Skills, okay? And we want to bring the real experience that we as organization, when we see on the floor in operational environments, we want to bring that experience into learning. And that's where we felt that the content development for the curriculum and all that needs to also look at having this operational areas that need to be given as case studies, situations that you should know. So these were some of the backgrounds that when we decided to come in as a TT skill along with renowned university and various other universities from international countries. So just to quickly, I don't want to do a death by PowerPoint, but I'll just tell you what exactly we are looking at. Yeah, and then maybe after that you can, ask us the relevant questions and we can try to answer them. Yeah. So what we're bringing in, and in the previous session, I was hearing that how technology is important today and what it is going to do tomorrow. Yeah, and how we can use technology into learning is where it's going to work for us and for you, all of you. Today, if you see today Generation Z, Gen Z, what we call, they all onto technology. They all want to use gadgets. They all want to do online learning. And you would have seen a lot of during pandemic, there was this surge of online learning that happened. Yeah, and that's where we think that we need to leverage on technology while delivering what we want to do. So we are coming up with a hybrid model where we would be doing a self-paced learning as well as blended in a way that we will bring in knowledge and experience and of course the technology to complement each other. Yeah, so that's the plan of TT skills to bring in. And in our plan, we have the content being developed by Singapore University for Social Sciences, along with us, along with RJNEU, to come up with a strong, robust content and a curriculum for delivery. Also, the faculties that are going to be on this platform are going to be from the Singapore University and also from support from the Singapore Logistics Association. So there will be a lot of learning both in terms of classroom, that is online classroom, and also self-paced learning. Yeah, we will be bringing in courses that will be in terms of self-paced. Maybe you could use a mobile to do your course. You would have your own profile on the platform that we have developed. So you can get onto your account, look at your competencies, look at your skills. What do you need to learn more is what is going to be taken care on this particular platform. Yeah. So I don't want to take too much time on the presentation because I want to hear from you, okay, and try to answer your questions. So just to give you quickly, it's something called phygital. Instead of digital, we are saying phygital platform, which means that it's going to be a digital and a classroom. You will have faculties online training you and discussing your points, your concerns, your clarifications. They will be available. So it's called like a digital platform. Yeah. In terms of courses on this platform would be like some short-term modules, long-term, medium-term modules, and we will have certificate diploma programs as well. Yeah. In terms of what we're launching very soon is going to be on these three important courses that we're going to start off as a pilot program, which is time sensitive cargo management, yeah, cold chain management, and dangerous goods. I'm sure everyone knows what is dangerous goods and how important it is when it comes to carrying a dangerous goods on an aircraft. Yeah. I'll just quickly run through because it's too long, this PPT is. So these are some of the specialist trainers, if you can see. Yeah. So as doctor said that we have signed a MOU. This is when we had done it with RJNEU. Yeah. So I already said about what is TT Group, so I don't want to take too much time here. Yeah. So if you see Mr. TTK, as I said, he was the one who started TTK as a brand some 90 years back, and TT Group was founded 38 years back, and TT Group was headed by his grandson, Mr. TT, by his son, Mr. TT Vasu. Yeah, and now it's being headed by his grandson, Mr. Arun Vasu. That's it. So if anybody has any questions, we are here to take the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence, for your presentation. In fact, I see a lot of commonality between RT and your presentation in terms of upskilling the workforce, particularly in aerospace and aviation industry. Now, since we have many aspiring people, also the leaders of aviation industry, we'd like to understand if there is any question or any issue from your side. We have the domain experts whom you can interact one-to-one. So if there are any questions, please raise your hand and ask your question.
Yes.
Yes. Please give the mic there.
Good afternoon, everyone, respected panelists and everyone present over here. My question was regarding we were talking about digitalization, data, and technologies from yesterday. But I guess a major need, a major demand by the technologies in the time of today is devices. And devices ask for rare earth metals, right? So, but if I talk about statistics, 60% of rare earth metal production takes place in China, followed by USA. That accounts for 15% of the rare earth metal production, and India is only producing about 1% of rare earth metals around the globe. But if we talk about reserves, the reserves with US are 1.8 million metric tons, but reserves with India are 6.9 million metric tons, which are about 4x ahead of USA. But we are not, developing the mining skills, or we are leaving the sector unnoticed. So how can we as students help in the production of rare earth metals so that we can go ahead in technology? Because if we are not developing the metals, producing the rare earth metals, then the cost will subsequently go up, and India is a cost-sensitive market, so the startups won't be able to perform with their full potential. That was the question. Thank you.
This session is related to, the skilling and upskilling in aviation and aerospace industry.
Actually, I'm currently working on drone researches, and drones do require rare earth metals. And the cost of a drone that's in foreign countries is about 80K, is raises to around 1.2 to 1.3 lakhs in India. So that's a major issue for aviation industry too, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. See, particularly for drone, as you know, that's a new thing in the order, and as India, we are leapfrogging in this drone ecosystem as such. In fact, from PhD chamber side, we have given a strong recommendation to government that like we have the aerospace and aviation sector skill council. We need to have a drone skill sector council also, because now drone as a service and drone as an enabler, particularly for logistics management and supply chain management, is one of the most important, you can say, the tech part that need to be integrated through APIs with multiple or multimodal transport sectors and systems. So therein we are on it, and I'm sure that within a year or so you will see like there will be a lot of certified skill development courses, particularly for the drone industry and sectors.
Can I have a follow-up question? Basically, as Mr. Ganesh sir also mentioned that most of us were unaware about the Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University, and the government comes up with regular schemes for startups, it may be in aviation sector or in other sectors, but most of the schemes are like we are not aware. We as students do not get notified of the schemes. So how can we get notified of all the schemes or other things that come up?
RGNU Act was enacted in 2013 and it was there on the website. I agree, and it was in the Gazette notification also. But being a government organization, we have limited advertising budgets. So whenever we advertise in the papers through DAVP, Department of Audiovisual Publicity, and it is advertised once. And when we saw that in spite of our placement, good placement record, nobody knew about the university. So we tried to, this time we advertised it twice with the special approval. And we also did, uh, um, online interaction with various universities, schools, and then when the students were selected, we interacted with the parents also online. That if you have any, clarifications required about the university, please let us know. That's how the numbers have increased this time. But yes, we cannot spend that much of money in advertising, as you must have seen the various private universities here in Noida or for that matter all over India. And they do a good advertising. We can't do that. So, but slowly and slowly people will come to know through all these things. Like today I am here, and now you know about Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University. Slowly and slowly it will be.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. Is there any other question, please? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we are talking about Udan scheme, low-cost carrier, at the impact of that, when the fresher join to the industry, like if you join Indigo, after doing a heavy costly course like BTech and AME, they are getting paid 8,000 or 11,000. How people from like smaller city can survive in the big city like Delhi and Bangalore?
You are talking about, you said that, yeah? I agree. See, I am also an engineer, by the way. This is my third profession my third profession is as a professor. I am a civil engineer basically. I did my BTech. When I did my BTech in 1979, only 7 colleges were there in UP. 6 government colleges, engineering colleges, and 1 private college in Dayalbar, Agra. Right? Now there are at least, I think, 2,000 colleges in UP itself. Thus, and demand and supply, and I must tell you that I must accept also the employability levels have come down in engineering colleges. That's why it happened with MBA schools also. So that this is the reason when demand, then supply is more than the demand, the salary has come down. I agree. Even that happened during COVID in aviation also. AMEs were getting hardly 15,000 in the beginning. Okay, but if you improve your, the skill levels, I'm quite sure that you will get a good salary package.
At the same time, like suppose if I will learn some skills and I will switch the field, then what will about the employment in the aviation? Like at the same, if I learn Python and everything, I can go switch my field to IT. Then what will about aviation? If in the same way, if the salary package will go down.
Your question is very well. In fact, the market dynamics automatically do the correction on it. So depending on the hot skills which are needed and the type of job roles which are in sync with those skills, people are actually, transferring their skills, or you can say their curriculum and their own, knowledge in those particular sectors. For example, there are certain, skill sets, some of the, job roles which we have never heard, 5 years back. And most of the job roles, in fact, 80% job roles which were there around, say, 10 years back, they have become totally obsolete and redundant. Now, the point is, as a student or as an aspiring leader for maybe as an employee or as an employer, we need to keep ourselves abreast with the changing needs in the sector as such. And the aviation sector is definitely going to go by leaps and bounds in time to come, because the air traffic is definitely going to increase, air traffic as well as the cargo also. So I'm sure that if as a the able student you are able to keep abreast with the latest technologies and information in the sector, there will be no dearth of getting some of the big industries on board, and you can get the type of salaries you are talking right now, they will become 10x in time.
Thank you. When you were talking about the engineering graduates, our first program in first batch, out of 24 students, around 8 were engineering graduates, and they did this program and then got the job. So you must know actually before you do any course, you must know what is the market, for that. Just going for engineering, there are better courses than engineering nowadays if you want to get a job. Thank you.
We can have the last question, please.
I would like to add just to gentleman's question is that when it comes to your point of moving from aviation and getting into maybe a programming kind of a language learning and all that, but let me tell you that today the business dynamics are changing so rapidly that today there is a need for people to manage data, do data analytics in the aviation industry, and it's a need of the hour right now. Yeah, so if you learn a programming language like Python or any data mining that you do, whatever you like to do, and you have a background of aviation, you can always get into data analytics for that organization or maybe a aviation related company. Yeah.
And at the same time, the skills you need to equip yourself, you have to be totally, sort of your skills should be, they should never become, as industry 4.0 is coming, in great ways in most of the industries, particularly if you talk of automation, robotics. Many of the, the repetitive jobs are being totally replaced by, the robots and, with many new tools. So you need to have those skill sets wherein there can be no replacement, skill sets that cannot become redundant at any point in time. So you need to be very, very focused in terms of selecting if you are learning some of the languages, things like, as said by Mr. Lawrence, like data science, data management is definitely going to be, because as data is the new oil right now, that is being said. But at the same time, the type of automations happening even in data roles, they are going by, they are growing by, there is exponential growth in terms of automation even in, data management also. So please look for some of these skills wherein there is some sort of human intervention or some of those soft elements within the main technical skill set, so that job replacement cannot happen in any of the case. We can have the last question from the audience and then we'll close this session. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. My name is Franklin. Can you tell something about the drone in careers in drone piloting and all that? And can a drone pilot stand at the same level with a commercial pilot?
Yes, there are some programs going on now. In fact, our UI is co-located with us. They have that. They have just started that program, drone pilots and all. And many colleges are starting.
A drone pilot can stand at the same level and at the same pay scale at a commercial pilot, or not?
I don't think.
That will not happen right now, because right now the skills that are being looked for, particularly in drone, is the UPM thing. Because what happens, like how efficiently you can fly drone in that stipulated traffic things, that actually matters. Because right now, as most of the people, most of the companies are using drone just for having a fun. But as the time passes, as we now talking of drone as a service, there are many drone manufacturers who have come here in India. Also, the point is that regulations are still they are not apt in terms of the changing technologies in drones. As I told you about the UAVs and UDMs, the universal, the unmanned traffic management system, most of the things are in pipeline, and we are sure that within another 3-4 months time, most of the things will be regulated, and you will see even drone colleges or drone skilling centers, even in many hinterlands, even tier 2 and 3 cities also, because they are the points wherein more drone pilots are required, because the ultimate efficacy for any drone is basically to provide the last mile connectivity where the normal transport logistics cannot enter. So I am sure that in those areas there will be a lot of you can say the leapfrogging, particularly in some of the certified skill trainings in drones. And maybe the time will come if you are able to fly different type of drones. The salary structure may become same as the commercial pilot, but that will take some time to actually realize this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all the students for giving us such interactive session. Thank you, eminent speakers, for discussing such important topics which can help building the career further in this line for the students, to give them a clear idea about your institute, your college, and how it all go about. And furthermore, I would like to request Mr. Sanyal Desai and Dr. Jatinder Ji to hand over the memento as a symbol of remembrance to our eminent panelists. Please come forward. Dr. Ganesh Krishna Chokiyal from Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University. Mr. Lawrence Pereira, Manager of Quality Assurance and Special Projects, TT Group. Can we have a group picture? Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, on all the students, this was the last panel discussion we all had witnessed, and we are very, very thankful to all the dignitaries who have been part of this conference yesterday and tomorrow as well. Let's have a huge round of applause in honor of all of them who have spent their valuable time to enlighten us with their knowledge and wisdom. Now, going further, India is almost hitting the bars by 1.4 billion population, and out of which I'm very happy to let you all know that our average age is 29 years, which is why we have been awarded as the youngest city. And talking about the young, talking about youth, you guys are our youth, you guys.
Along with our partner from Germany, Stephen Tesse. Please cheer for him. Yes. We have our industry partner, PSD Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Dr. Jatinder Singh is here. Let's cheer it for him. And the lady behind the entire conference, Ms. Bhavna Singh. All the students here, it was a great support from you, because these 2 days, it's not only about sitting here, but it's also what you are getting from here. So I think these 2 days, I'm sure that you are taking a lot of good things from here, a lot of learnings from here, which will help you and our country for a better India and better future. So thank you so much, guys, for your wonderful support. Thank you all our eminent speakers. I mean, without their support and good presentation, this conference would have not been possible. So all the speakers who are here and who were here yesterday, I think let's cheer up for them as well. I think overall we had about 70 speakers. Yeah, overall we had about 70 speakers in 1.5 days, which number itself is showing good. We had a lot of panel discussion, a lot of presentation happened in 2 days. I think exhibition first day was also fantastic yesterday. We had good number of B2B visitors, plus a lot of conference delegates have come here and attended. So I think overall it's a good experience for us, and I think I would like to take this opportunity that we'll come next year again with German Pavilion, and thank you so much. So I think we have a long way to go with IndiAirport, and with the support of PSD Chamber of Commerce and our partner GATE and IFW Expo, I think we will come back very strongly next year, and we would like to have all of your support as well. So thank you so much. Thank you. Cheers.
And in fact, big cheers for the man behind the show, Mr. Sanyal Desai. He has been very, very modest and he is instrumental in getting to create this entire ecosystem in Greater Noida for the first time. Thank you, Mr. Sanyal Desai, for your full energy and relentless, working towards, this India Airport show, the international conference and expo on airport technology, which is the first, in this area. And I am sure that this particular, the model which has been made, this will grow by leaps and bounds in the time to come. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Dear participants of this program and of the show itself, um, traveling to India is an eye-opener. Yeah? There's something happening. India is on its way, and this is fascinating to watch. And it's for German companies and for European companies, it's good to be part of it. So I'm confident that the airport industry will grow, and you will be part of it too. I wish you, the Make in India is happening. So thank you.
I request Team PhD CCI, Team Radical Communication, Team IFW Expo, please come forward. सिद्धांत जी आ जाइए प्लीज. भावना मैम. एक बार जोरदार तालियां होनी चाहिए. These are the backbone which is why we all are here together under one roof. And all the dignitaries of the dais, please join us. Please, sir, Vinitji, everybody, please join us. Sir, please join us. Everybody who's been with us till the last moment of this beautiful journey of 2 days. Anuj sir, please aa jaiye. Everybody, please aa jaiye. Sir, aa jaiye sir, please. आप ही को कह रहे Yeah. Please join us, sir. So this is definitely going to be a wider frame and the moment that we are always going to cherish and remember forever. यहाँ पे आ जाइए.